Jerry breaks the game. Gerardo rompe el juego.
Welcome to Jerry Breaks the Game. I'm comedian Jerry Rocha, and today I want to talk The Last of Us 2. A game I never wanted to happen. In the first one, the main characters Joel and Ellie survive a wasteland filled with the most unsettling type of zombies. The cordyceps fungus, which is a real fungus, turning some poor ants in a rainforest into zombies right fucking now, mutates to affect humans. And I'm sure the zombies that you killed throughout the game were just the dipshits who refused to wear masks during the outbreak. Children still have to go to school. Ellie was 14 years old and immune to the fungus. Joel was a smuggler who agreed to take her to a group called the Fireflies, who were looking to rebuild humanity. They felt that Ellie's immunity could lead to a cure for everyone. And it can. The only catch is the procedure of extracting Ellie's immunity is gonna kill Ellie. Joel, who grew to love Ellie as a daughter during the game, decides he doesn't like that, so he kills as many Fireflies as possible, grabs Ellie's unconscious body, and runs off with it. And when she comes to, he lies to her about what happened. A tad extreme, but I get what Joel did. If I'm at the vet and they're taking too long to tell me why my cat has diarrhea, I'm thinking about grabbing my cat, killing everybody there, and making a run for it. I didn't want there to be a sequel. I wanted Joel escaping with Ellie to be the end of their story. Let me connect the dots as to what happened next. Maybe Joel and Ellie found Keith Richards. I'm sure he survived, and they brought back the Stones. I grew attached to the characters, so I didn't want any more bad shit to happen to them. The first game was a massive hit, so of course a sequel gets announced, and I had to buy it, and I was hoping this would go easy. Maybe part 2 would just be Joel and Ellie finding out that Kid Rock made it and was on his way to a recording studio, and they had to stop him at all costs. I told you. We're retired. Joel, he's found a band and a studio. God damn it. But no, instead, a lot more bad shit happens to him. I thought the first game was a masterpiece. I loved every second of it. Part 2, initially, I didn't love it. I felt like when Pee Wee Herman was talking to Dottie at the bike shop. I like you. I didn't think it was bad by any stretch, but in a game of fuck, marry, kill, it was getting the fuck. Definitely not the kill, but certainly not the marry. But then the second half of the game started, and all of a sudden, I can hear Eddie Money in the back of my head singing, "Something's got a hold on me now." And yeah, I think I'm in love. This game has been very divisive too. There's a moment early on that had a lot of grown men throwing tantrums, like that dude who would trash his room every time a WWE match didn't end the way he wanted it to. Well, maybe those millions of 10-year-olds who this is really for might be happy, but I ain't fucking happy. And some who were turned off by that but pressed on threw an even bigger tantrum when you got to the second half of the game. But that's the part that absolutely hooked me. Oh!
Spoilers.
Let's get to why I was scared of a sequel. About an hour into the game, Joel dies. What's that? Are those adults throwing tantrums over a video game? Yeah, that's it. And it's not a he went peacefully in his sleep kind of way. No. It's the exact opposite. He takes a shotgun blast to the knee, gets bludgeoned to death with a golf club. Then the entire cast of the Lord of the Rings movies come in with some elvish daggers and stab him a few times. Then the shark from Jaws 4 shows up, takes a couple of bites out of him. Then Hulk Hogan runs in. You think to help, but he turns heel and leg drops Joel's dead body about 5 times. Somebody stop the damn match! Enough's enough! They fucking kill him. All in front of Ellie and Joel's brother Tommy. Joel is killed by Abby, a new character introduced in the game that you actually get to play as for a little bit in the beginning. Her and her friends, think of an R-rated version of the Saved by the Bell The College Years cast, are squatting in an abandoned mansion near the settlement where Joel and Ellie are. They're looking for someone who you soon find out is Joel. In one sequence, Joel and Tommy even save Abby from a swarm of infected. You think they might have built up some brownie points for her, but no, Abby had a vendetta. She captures Joel and Tommy, and eventually Ellie, after Ellie goes to look for him when Joel and Tommy have been reported missing. After she kills Joel, Abby and her group spare Ellie and Tommy and just go back to Seattle. Watching Joel get killed was like me as a Dallas Cowboy fan watching every meaningful game the Cowboys have played in since 1996. Man, come on. So when you assume the role of Ellie, who wants to go follow Tommy to Seattle to get payback, I was like, shit yeah, I'm in. Lock and load. Abby's a disease, Ellie's the cure. I got the need for speed. Nobody puts Joel in a corner and then bludgeons him to death with a golf club. A little strange that Ellie, who's now 19, brings her girlfriend Dina along for the trip. Is revenge murder a puppy love thing? When Ellie and Dina get to Seattle, they find themselves in the middle of a war between two surviving factions. The Washington Liberation Front, or the Wolves, who Abby is a member of, or the Seraphites, a religious cult that are also called the Scars. The reason they're called the Scars is to become initiated into them, you have to scar your face on both cheeks pretty graphically. So who doesn't pick the Wolves? I dig y'all's vibe for the most part, but could I just be like a janitor so you don't have to do the scar shit to me? Isn't there a gang that just lets you in because you win a couple of rounds of rock, paper, scissors, or maybe you can do hopscotch really quick? Whoa! Under a minute? Get over here! You're a wombat. And they couldn't have run into one friendly fucking person this whole trip? You're telling me there's not one dude who maybe is still keeping his grilled cheese sandwich cafe going and he just grills them up on the house? Come on, when you're at Shep's, it's neutral ground. Ellie mercilessly tears through anyone Abby gave a shit about. The only time she feels any kind of remorse is when she kills Mel, a former friend of Abby who's now hooking up with Abby's ex-boyfriend Owen, who Ellie also kills. And as she's dying, Ellie realizes Mel was pregnant. Jeez, we get it. Water good, revenge bad. At least Ellie showed some remorse. I thought by this point in the game, when Ellie found out Mel was pregnant, she just would have stood over her dying body and did the John Cena "you can't see me" thing. And killing a woman you didn't know was pregnant was completely ripped off from Super Mario Sunshine, but whatever, I'll give him a pass. As Ellie and her crew are preparing for the final battle with Abby, Abby finds them. She drops Tommy, she puts a gun to Ellie, confronts her and says, "I let you live and you blew it." I was ready for the final boss fight. Let's feel worse. Let's feel worse. But as Abby has a gun to Ellie, it just cuts. And now all of a sudden you're young Abby in a flashback and holy shit, Abby's dad, to quote ODB, was the Osiris of this Firefly shit. And yeah, one of the people Joel murdered during his rampage to rescue Ellie at the end of part 1. But then when that ends, it's like a mini flashback and you're there the same day that Ellie shows up in Seattle, but now you're playing as Abby? No, I don't want to play as the villain. She's the villain, right? Not really. You find out that if there even is a villain in this game, it's how the need for vengeance can consume all of us, even the last of us. Oh, is this round 2 of adults throwing a tantrum over a video game? Is that what I hear? There's actually a video out there where a dude is angry and couldn't play the game because he didn't think Abby was attractive enough as a character. So that means he had the hots for a 14-year-old Ellie in part 1? I can't play Halo until he takes that fucking helmet off. I gotta know if I could bang him or not. Come here, check out my Animal Crossing village, bro. All giraffe, all 10s. Captain Toad has got to be the game this dude stashes away. You know, the hardcore stuff. And let's be honest, none of the dudes complaining about Abby's looks are getting any phone calls from any modeling agencies anytime soon. The Abby gameplay, while still great, is a little different because Ellie was kind of like a master of all trades when it comes to getting out of certain situations. Abby just has 2 methods. She can either shoot her way out or pull a Captain Kirk and fist fight her way out. You find out that Abby was actually captured by the Scars and sentenced to be executed along with Yara, a Scar outcast. Right before Abby and Yara are murdered though, they're rescued by Lev, Yara's younger brother, another Scar outcast, and the 3 of them take off. Abby forms a bond with them, her sworn enemies. And this is where the love for the game really started for me. During the Abby portion of the game, she becomes Joel to Lev's Ellie. And I really missed having that dynamic. You only get it a few times in the game during a few flashbacks that reunite Joel and Ellie. The action pieces for Abby felt a lot more epic too. There's this amazing battle in the bottom of a hospital where Abby fights off this massive 20 infected people in one creature to what seems to be the final battle between the wolves and the Scars. On Scar Island, as Abby and Lev, yeah, Yara doesn't make it, try to escape while almost the entire island is burning because of the war. And the moment that got me, that made me not only love the game, but Abby as a character, is when Lev sees a group of wolves coming towards them, and he's still weary of Abby, and he looks at her and goes, "Aren't they your people?" To which Abby responds, "You're my people." That's some goosebump shit right there. I've used that line on 4 neighbors already this week. Oh man, when's this weather gonna cool down, huh? You're my people. Abby and Lev survive. Abby finds all of her dead friends, and her and Lev find Ellie. We're all caught up now. It's like Spaceballs. You're looking at now. Ellie and Abby have their battle, and you're playing as Abby, which was wild having Ellie be a boss because you see just how dangerous she is. Abby finally gets the best of Ellie and is about to kill Ellie and a pregnant Dina when Lev intervenes and talks her out of it. Abby spares Ellie again, and then Abby and Lev leave the fight, the wolves, the scars, Seattle. You think maybe one therapist could have survived all this shit? I mean, granted, the game would have been 20 minutes long, but I think everyone would have been a lot more content. Then we see a not so distant future where Ellie and Dina are living together on a farm. Pretty happy too, not that far from the settlement where her and Joel were, and they're raising Dina's infant baby. And that should have been it, right? You get a kinda happy ending. But no, a hobbled Tommy, Abby spared him twice too, shows up and tells Ellie that he has intel on where Abby might be. Dina rushes him off, but you can tell it still fucks with Ellie. She wants payback. She's still haunted by what happened to Joel. And just like De Niro at the end of Heat, Ellie can't let it go. She bails on Dina and the baby, even after Dina gives her a "you go do this, then we're done" ultimatum. We find Abby and Lev in Santa Barbara looking for any kind of lead on where the surviving Fireflies may have ended up. And they get a lead, but soon after they're kidnapped and turned into slaves by a new group called the Rattlers. You know, Tupac was right. This country was built on gangs. Wolves, scars, Fireflies, Rattlers. And they all have a logo, too. Who the fuck is trademarking anything during an apocalypse? Bro, this is gonna be lit. You're not gonna believe the exposure you get if you just draw us this logo. Ellie follows the lead. She finds where Abby and Lev were, but she gets caught by Rattlers too. But Ellie's able to fight her way out of it. She finds out Abby was a slave, and she finds out where they were holding her. Then, for the first time in the game, the killing of people doesn't have that much gravity behind it because the Rattlers were all shitbags. I had no remorse for these slaver pieces of shit, and I love seeing Ellie go angel of death on all these motherfuckers. Ellie finds Abby and Lev on a beach right outside the Rattlers' main base, hung on posts by their wrists and left to die because they attempted an escape. Ellie saves them, but forces a very reluctant and very weak Abby to fight by putting a knife to Lev's unconscious throat. And the balls on you for thinking the Houston Astros cheated. Imagine picking a fight with someone who has 10% life left in them, period. It's a brutal fight. Abby does all she can to save her and Lev. She even bites off part of two of Ellie's fingers. But Abby was too weak. Ellie gets the best of her and is about to drown Abby. And all of a sudden, she sees this peaceful image of Joel flash through her head, and it stops her. Where the fuck was this peaceful image a few months ago? Okay, I mean, I guess give Joel's ghost credit for showing up right before the end of triple overtime, but holy shit. And maybe every game should have the final boss fight be interrupted by a peaceful image of that player's most beloved and missed passed on relative. Mijo, it's just Mega Man. Mom? Ellie realizes what a piece of shit she's been this whole time, and she lets Abby and Lev escape and go find wherever the Fireflies may be. Ellie makes it back to a now empty house. Dina wasn't fucking around with that ultimatum, where she tries to play this guitar that Joel got for her and taught her how to play, but she can't because she's missing a couple of fingers, and she finally realizes all this revenge shit wasn't fucking worth anything. I mean, we'd already seen this kind of a story before in How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, but come on, kudos to Naughty Dog for pulling off the remake so well. I get it. I hated seeing Joel die, but, I mean, he was a little bit of a mass murderer. It's not like he spent the first game being the world's last librarian. And look at the world of the game. This shit ain't Candy Crush. People are gonna fucking die. Clint Eastwood said it in Unforgiven. We all got it coming, kid. And the Last of Us games have you run around in a world where everybody has it coming. And yeah, it was jarring to suddenly have to play as a character that you built up in your head was the enemy. But I loved playing as Bowser in Super Mario RPG for the Super Nintendo, and he'd been an asshole for years before that. I have no idea when fans got so fucking soft and entitled. It sucks seeing Optimus Prime die in '86. I was there, but I moved on. I said, let's give Rodimus a chance. But no. Too many crybabies wouldn't shut up about it, so they had to bring Optimus back. And they haven't stopped crying ever since. I just demand to see a cut of Silence of the Lambs where Buffalo Bill lives. I understand being disappointed in things you want to love. My goodness, my poor girlfriend has to deal with that every time she wakes up and looks at me. I didn't like the Christian Bale Batman movies, but I'm still gonna go see another Batman movie. I'm not starting a petition that demands they release a version where Batman doesn't sound like a fucking idiot when he talks. I love fajitas. I got gnarly food poisoning once eating fajitas, but I'm still gonna eat them. Maybe I won't go back to that particular restaurant anymore, But I also didn't go back to that restaurant and demand that they give me all my vomit back. I slowly grew to love this game, and like any great game, novel, movie, television show, album, kids menu maze at Denny's, all those moments you love stick with you. And I'm happy I gave it a shot. Thank you for watching Jerry Breaks the Game with me, Comedian Jerry Rocha. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe, give it a thumbs up, click that little bell so you're notified every time a video comes out, spread the word, and if you keep doing all these things, I won't have to break your balls about it anymore. Stay safe, keep playing, and see you soon.
Jerry broke the game. Gerardo rompió el juego. La da da, la da da, la da da.